Good to go?
Yeah.
This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Kalle Sauerland, wow.
Live and in living colour here
in
Doha, Qatar. The vibrant city of Doha. I mean, what a backdrop. I've done a few interviews in my time, but this backdrop's got to beat them all.
Got to be
fantastic, fantastic.
Just how excited are you to be here? This is the supercard. It's the one that you've been talking about.
Yeah, listen, first of all, you've got to get your nut round that this is a Sunday. We're kicking off fight week on a Sunday. It's a Thursday night fight night.
Thursday's their Friday though, right?
Thursday's the Friday, plus it's Formula One week, so it's all going off in Doha this week. The guest list is insane. I'll tell you more about that later in the week, but we've got, grand arrivals today, of course, here at the Ned in Doha. Press conference tomorrow. Then we got public workouts in a fantastic amphitheatre. Looks like a little coliseum right incredible. By the beach. So the whole week's going to be insane. The arena itself, Thursday night, insane. 10 fights coming at you, live on DAZN, all around the world, of course, as always. But for Misfits, it's a whole new chapter here in Qatar. So, am I excited? I'm holding it down right now, but yeah, I'm super excited, despite the plane ride and everything.
So now we're here on the ground. What were the logistics of making this happen? We've seen that Qatar have been doing a lot of influencer-based stuff, so they've been doing the big football matches, stuff like that. First time we've seen Misfits come over here, hopefully the first of many.
Yeah, I mean, look, Qatar's done, obviously, the Formula One, that football competition, what's it called again, the World Cup. But now this is new levels, Misfits, So, joking aside, they know how to throw the biggest events in the world here. I think they showed that obviously with the World Cup, but they've got so many big attractions and events down here. And when you get here, it's so welcoming. Everything is, everything they all say, oh, how far is it? It's 15 minutes. Everything's 15 minutes. So it's very easy to coordinate. But, when Misfits hit town, the wildness begins. So very excited for that press conference tomorrow. KSI, Mams also arriving later on today. So it's going to be a real Misfit week.
Kalle, out of curiosity, just off the back of the incredible press conference that we had on Monday, has there been any more communication? We've seen Darren Till
just recovering
videos of him kicking pads.
Yeah,
leaking John Fury's phone number.
I don't think that's his real number, but John doesn't really use a phone.
Does he not? How do you communicate?
No, he's old school.
John?
John's very old school. How do I communicate with Big John? Smoke signals normally.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah, exactly. Carrier pigeons, that sort of thing. Look, I mean, it was wild. It was viral. It was everything that goes on in this space. I think a lot of it was a lot of tongue-in-cheek there as well. But they were all amped. Ticket sales started fantastically. I think we're going to have a very, very hot event January the 18th in Manchester.
That was a great way to open sales, wasn't it, for Manchester, by having that? I think people almost want the fight this week.
People some idiots out there saying, "Oh, it was all orchestrated by me." That's fantastic. Yeah, I wish I could do those sort of things, but no. When it comes to people like John and Darren Till and Tommy, you can't orchestrate anything. Put it together and you see what happens.
Anisson Gibb this week makes his return. He says he wants to destroy
Misfits. Yeah, a few people have said that in the past and haven't succeeded. Interesting because he signed a multi-fight deal with us. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I'll pull him up on that actually when I see him. So make sure you get a copy of that. Destroy Misfits. That's interesting. Yeah. But no, he's a good lad. It's
selling the fight.
He's selling it that way. They don't like each other. It's one of those fights in this scene that has been in the long time in the making. So, when we were putting together the supercard for this year, and, we're lucky enough to find a home for it in Qatar, this was a natural fill for top of the bill.
Just out of curiosity, he did put about a bit of a weird tweet up at one point saying that he was surprised that the event was still going ahead. And
Who said that?
Anis on Gibb.
Did he? Well, look, he's been around other promotions in this space that he hasn't got on too well with, so I can understand that. But here we are, a couple of years later, 20 fights in or 20 events in, and a couple of 100 fights in, and here we are.
Who do you make the favourite in the main event?
I think Slim's shown in this space that he's a phenomenal puncher. We've never had Gibb on, so I haven't seen him live. But it's one of those that the scene says as a pick 'em. I'm going to sit on the fence, but I'd make Slim the puncher favourite.
A little bit of criticism about Deji's opponent. Why is he fighting a guy who's yet to have a victory?
Well, look, Deji's had some long time out. It's that bigger card that this isn't about Deji being a main event. He was on the card. It was announced as him returning, so it's his return. So he's taking someone who's not top of the misfits pile, so to speak, but at the same time, he's from the region. He'll wanna show things up.
HS Tiki Toki, certainly no Pred stings in Doha.
No, whenever Tiki Toki's involved in something, it's exciting. I tell you something, he's got a live opponent. I saw him on my flight. Yeah, I mean he's a big lad. Masai Warrior, the nickname, always dangerous. But I mean, look, there's so many names on this card and so many different storylines that if you like crossover boxing, it's the Super Bowl of the year.
Is this the, I suppose, biggest Misfits event you've done? I mean, KSI and...
No, I think, look, the Prime card in its own right, because it obviously has our founder and CEO KSI in it, it's different, but this one is by far the biggest card in this space, I would say, certainly outside of the UK and the US. It's a new territory for the space. It's a territory which is super excited about that whole crossover scene. You see it with all the work with the Sidemen, the Beta Squad down here, all in town this week as well, obviously, and they've had huge success with the football match down here. So it will have the same buzz around it as the Prime card for sure.
When will we see JJ next back in the ring? I think he said Q1. What sort of opponents do you look at realistically?
Like I said at the Till Fury presser. At the Fury Till presser in London, I said we've got 2 to 3 names on there, which means 3, doesn't it? So 3 names we're looking at. 2, translate that from Kalle language. That means 2 that we're serious about, and one that we're not so serious about. But yeah. So they're all from the combat sports space, different areas of combat sports. There's a boxer in there. There's a bit of a legend in there. No Mike Tysons.
Right.
And they're all under the age of 50.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. Have you seen Nikisa's back and forth with Tony Bellew? What do you make of it? Saying that they're not big enough draws, him and Carl Froch to fight Jake Paul.
I've seen him, and look, Nikisa's backing his man. I'll be doing the same thing.
What do you make of the arguments
Listen, I think Nikisa's backing his guy, and I've known Tony so many years, and I can just attribute to what he's achieved. I remember there was a time in his career when no one even thought he'd be world champion, and the way he did that, I remember him going down in the fight at Goodison Park, and then come back and winning that fight and becoming world champion, and it was a big moment, and he obviously can't forget the 2 David Hafer. He left a massive mark on the sport, especially in the UK. But at the same time, I know, look, I can't blame Nikisa on that. He's backing his guy,
isn't he? Does it get to the point where it becomes disrespectful or no?
Yeah, I mean, but disrespectful and social media, do you put them in one sentence, Charlie? I mean, come on.
No, I mean, it's just more,
If you put something respectful on social media, no one will notice it, so...
It's more that they tried to compare careers. Nikisa said your 12th fight was against someone who was 9 and 21.
I think you should always compare a career at the end of a career, not in the middle of it, because in boxing, Bernard Hopkins, one of the legends of the sport, look how he achieved what he achieved, achieved it post 40. If you look at other fighters, Mike Tyson, great example, went super young. You can't compare a boxing career next to each other and just leave it at that. It's you wait till you're done, wait till the gloves are hung up. You know, that's what it is. I mean, you know, Jake's got, following the Tyson fight, a lot of people calling him out. That's normal, isn't it? You know, that's normal in any...
I mean, right, so that comes to my next point. You've got Artur Beterbiev,
but it's some ridiculous call-outs, isn't it? I mean,
but at what point does that disrespect boxing?
Listen, I think that Beterbiev...
Like Daniel Dubois as well, calling him out.
But there's something... But I get it. It's, again, that's what social media does. Of course, that's going to do the rounds. You're asking...
It would be silly not,
we're here in Doha now. We're talking about it, but it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, it's totally ridiculous. Even if I was selling Jake, I mean, you know, what's his record now? 13-1?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, 10 and 1, 11 and 1, something like that.
I don't know the exact record, but you know, he needs to progress as a fighter and go up rankings.
What do you make
if he wants to go down that path? But it's not like you can't just go and fight Artur Beterbiev or Canelo, who are at the top of their games and are at the top of the sport, because then...
But Canelo's not calling him out, Artur Beterbiev is. No, what do you make of that, though, in itself?
I think everyone's a bit different. I remember
Bradish, to be fair, doing it.
He was on our team, so I'm not going to knock the guys for doing it. It gives them some clout on social media, because you know the KSI's, Jake Paul's, they're the kings of social media. Let's not forget that. Yeah? But if Beterbiev ended up fighting Jake Paul, yeah, I mean that would. And
again, you got Daniel Dubois offering it to him, which is slightly different because Daniel didn't. Well, he did DM him, I suppose.
Again, I'll take it with a pinch of salt, right? I think they're throwing their names out there. I remember when I spoke to Breedis about it at the time. I said, Morris, come on, I mean, not being funny, yeah? You're three-time cruiserweight world champion. You've beaten the best in the world. You know, this was after he beat Dorticos to win the World Boxing Super Series, and he's calling out Jake Paul next. And he said, yeah, but it's obviously good for their social media stats. That leads to other opportunities. So it's business. You know, I get it.
I suppose just lastly from me, we're hearing that Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. can be done if egos are put to one side. I feel like I've heard that a million times over the years. I know you're no longer involved, but you witnessed it.
I just hope they make the fight so we can all move on.
Do you?
Yeah, I just genuinely love to see it, you know, but I think...
Would you go?
No, I do enough boxing events in the year that I don't really go to too many shit.
If you're not involved, yeah.
Then again, maybe. Put a... You know, yeah, I might actually. It depends where I'll be. You know,
do you believe it can be done, given your experiences?
Look, I mean, I believed it should have got done before, but it did get done. Let's not forget that it got done in the first place. I think it can get done, but I always thought it could get done because it's for both guys the biggest payday out there. You know, that's what it is. So you generally would imagine that would get done. At the same time, I think the difference is now the clock's running, you know, because Conor Benn has to fight. And if that means now, post his ban being lifted, that this doesn't happen quick, he's going to have to move on. But it might be Ben holding up. I don't know who's holding it up. I'm not involved. So my guess is they're trying to work a way of doing it, work a way of securing the money, getting the biggest guarantees on the table. We were a huge guarantee with Junior at the time, but it wasn't enough. So, you know, what's changed? Maybe there's a Saudi contribution or Saudi willingness to do it. Could be. But they've got doing a lot of big fights as well. Beterbiev, Bivol apparently in the mix again. You know, big card in massive card in February.
Are you involved in that at all?
Yeah, we're hopefully getting the fight on there, but we'll see. We'll see when it's all done. But then there's one in May. They're doing massive events. So for them, they'll look at it and say, yeah, it's a nice event. It's a UK event though. So I don't know. I'm not party to that. So
Financially, it would have been a more lucrative time in your career, obviously working with Chris Eubank Jr. That's not to say that other avenues have explored, but is your life more stress-free now?
Listen, like I say, I've been around boxing 26 years professionally. I don't feel more stress-free, but yeah, like, that whole Eubank Ben episode. And I call it an episode because it is like Netflix, bring on the next episode now. I do genuinely hope the fight eventually gets done because I would like to see it.
Kalle Sauerland, you are a legend. Thank you very much for your time and speaking
you.
to us at the Stomping Ground. Hopefully catch up again this week.
In
doing
Doha.
a bit for DAZN as well.
Fantastic.
Multitasking out here.
I was about to say, but I wouldn't expect nothing less.
Come on.